Welcome to this week's Coffee and Conversation. I know the topic's not fun. And this is not to blame you, it's to make you aware. Because what we found is if men are physically intimate with their wife and it was the same kind of variation all the time, they would never complain. But it's not the same for women. And one of the questions that's come up on some groups, some women I've talked to, is the reality, and you have to ask yourself, is the sex with you worth having? Because it's something we see especially in the US. Our sex education's been inadequate. And as you're listening to this video, how much work have you put into learning and getting better with your sexual skills? Or are they the same old, same old? Are you focusing on your partner's pleasure? Or are you only worried about your own? Is your focus orgasm, like a 14-year-old little boy? Or do you actually not worry about that because you don't want to use that kind of energy? David Data talks about that. So, what kind of lover are you? You hear women whine and complain about the orgasm gap. And the funny part is, I have a goal for an orgasm gap with my girlfriend. I want a ratio of 10-1 if I can. Now, again, I'm not goal focused, but that is my preference, that she has 10-ish orgasms to everyone I choose to have. And a couple of women I've talked to recently said, well, yeah, if the sex is bad, it's just easier to take care of things yourself. And why would I want to go to all the trouble when for 2 to 5 minutes? So if you're being honest with yourself, man, is the sex with you worth having? Especially if it's infrequent, or do you need to up your game? Now, if you're in a no-sex marriage, you are not going to be able to just up your game. You have to actually rebuild the connection, all that. There'll be a separate video on how to repair that. But are you being an amazing lover? Or are you somebody that if a woman was dating you, after 1 or 2 sexual encounters would be like, are you kind of like Applebee's? Just a borderline, barely acceptable place to eat, but predictable? Women need variety. If you think you can do the same thing all the time and she's going to stay engaged and have fun, you are missing the mark. Myself, I don't ever repeat the same thing 3 times in a row when it comes to physical intimacy. I'm always looking to change things up. Even in doing the same thing, I change things up. Why? Because the diffuse awareness of a woman needs the variety. And as the masculine in the relationship, it is your responsibility to lead in this area. So if you struggle with this and you want to talk about it, send me a private message. Please hit the subscribe and like button. Even if this video is a little bit of a poke in the eye, it wasn't meant to be. It's kind of meant to wake you up. Because if you have a low-sex marriage, you need to turn it around before it becomes a no-sex marriage. And you need to be honest about whether or not you're contributing to the problem with this issue. Love you, brothers. Have a great week.